Welcome, everybody, to Krypton to Alderaan, Episode 4, the podcast that would like to rule the galaxy as podcast and listener. How's that one?
That's a good one.
Is that a good take? I'm Joey. What I've been into this week. Listen, we're going to talk a lot about stuff that I'm really into this week. It's not going to be like last week where I was like, who cares about Spider-Man news or blah. This week's episode is chock full of at least 3 things I care a little bit to a lot of bit about. I'm going to do less of a what I've been into and more of a yesterday was many things. Royce's 30th birthday. So we're all drinking coffee and water instead of beer this recording session.
The sun is also up.
The sun is up. But yesterday was also Batman Day, the 80th anniversary of the first issue of Detective Comics. So what I would encourage everyone to do, is go to your local comic book store. Pick up anything about Batman. An issue I would recommend is Batman number 23, written by Tom King and art by Danny Mickey. Or Mikey, I'm not really sure, and David Finch. It's a fantastic issue. It's titled The Brave and the Mold, and it's a Batman Swamp Thing issue. The story's fantastic. The artwork's fantastic. Everyone should read it. It's very good. Also, go pick up any Batman book. Most of them are good. Pick up anything by Tom King, or really anybody. So that's it. That's what I've read it. So I'm into it, but it didn't happen this week. But anyway, there we have it. We'll go to Royce.
Woo! This is Royce coming to you from 30 years into
future.
Existence. Yeah. So there's a lot of things on the list. This, like you said, this week there was a lot of stuff announced that were like, this is cool. I'm totally into this. But what I'm currently into, which actually not currently into, I had to put on hold to complete this podcast. Currently building Lego X-Wing, my new favorite birthday present. Yes, I'm 30. It's 132 pieces.
Go to your local comic book store and buy a Lego kit.
Ages 4 and up.
I qualify. Yeah, so that's it.
All right.
Legos, being old, wise.
Hungover.
Yeah, there we go. I got the gravel in the voice today.
Yeah. Robin.
I'm Robin. This week I'm into giant Death Star beach balls, which hold up surprisingly well under the weight of 3 to 7-year-olds bouncing all over them. It's a wise investment. Everyone go to Amazon, purchase a XXL Death Star beach ball.
Is it a actual Star Wars Death Star trademark?
I think so, yeah.
It's a legit
the
Death
same thing
Star.
as that cornhole set. Same exact brand and everything. It's legit. Definitely worth the money. Plus it has a strobe light.
That thing's pretty awesome.
Definitely
Fun for
worth the
all
money.
ages.
Now, but next year I want a Star Killer base beach ball.
You have to blow this one up and then get like half of one and then blow that up. And then you can get Star Killer Base.
Yeah. You have to
Do
wait.
Death Star 2.
You have to wait 2 years to get a Star Killer base because next year we got to blow this one up again.
Yeah.
That's
Fair?
what I'm into.
Fair.
I'm trying to think of some quotes from like the Death Star trench run. They're just not coming to me right now.
Use your reach
Cover
out
me,
with your
Porkins.
feelings. Porkins. Remember Porkins? Man, favorite Star Wars character. Put it
They
out there
came
right now.
from behind. What a poor guy.
There's a really cool t-shirt with Porkins on it. It's just a close-up of him in like the cockpit, and it literally says, "Cover me, Porkins." If
I
anyone
want
wants
that
a really
shirt.
bad t-shirt.
I do want that shirt. My birthday's next. I want it.
Deal.
Room. Or listeners.
Deal.
Our listeners.
Well, now we know.
Okay, and Lorelei's back. Wow.
Lorelei,
I'm back.
The world traveler has
Yes.
returned. What are you into?
This week, well, I was just traveling and I had a lot of time on planes. One thing that I read was Home by Toni Morrison, and it was really good. It was heart-wrenching. It was emotional. Most of her writing is. Yeah, it was.
What's it about?
So it is about an African-American man who has come home from war. And by come home, I mean he went home to not his real home. And it's kind of about his journey home to his sort of small town and finding his sister. And it's really good and really relevant. And also, obviously, Toni Morrison just died last month. So a good time to pick up a Toni Morrison book, I would say.
All right.
Right on.
We're all into things, turns out. Okay, so a few big things this week, I
Down to
think.
business now.
One I put them in order of
Wait, can
level
we just
of importance.
We have no idea what's coming as a collective group.
We're flying by the seat of
There
our
are
pants here.
no
We spent all week-
show notes.
No show notes. I didn't send anybody anything about what we were going to talk about.
We've hung out for a whole 24 hours. We have still not even discussed what we're going to talk about.
So you could say that this entire episode is a surprise question for the group episode. It's called the same thing every week. So here we go. I put them in order of obviously how I'm excited about them because I didn't consult with any of you guys about it.
Sure.
And I really hate to do this because it made it to like the bottom of the excited list. But that just goes to show you how exciting the other things are. But anyway, first up is Battlestar Galactica. I should have said Downton Abbey, the movie. I said that. $31 million opening. Huh. Who knew? You know Downton Abbey?
I know of it.
It's a movie now?
Yeah.
They made a movie?
Sure. Okay, so that's why people were posting about that.
Yeah, probably. But what we're going to talk about is the Downton Abbey of space, Battlestar Galactica. Reboot. Third time. The original was in a limited series in 1978. It only ran for a year, and I've seen like the first couple of episodes because it wasn't very good. Then they rebooted it in 2004, Sci-Fi Channel. That's when like Sci-Fi Channel was doing great stuff, like Battlestar Galactica. They brought back Doctor Who. Those are only the two things I can think of, but they were both great. Probably Dog Soldiers in there somewhere, which was also really good. Anyway, NBC is going to reboot Battlestar Galactica on their streaming service, Peacock. That's the name of their streaming service. Peacock.
Yeah, it's pretty
Does
terrible
anybody else
name.
think that that's funny? Okay, so I've actually read some different reports about this. Most things reporting that it's going to be a reboot, and some stuff saying that it's actually not really a reboot. It exists in the 2004 series, but as like a side story or an ancillary story. Sam Esmail. Anybody ever heard of this guy? Anyway, Sam Esmail, who is probably most well known for creating Mr. Robot. Anybody watch Mr. Robot? Anyway, people
No.
like it. I don't know. He created it and wrote it. So anyway, people
like it.
He's making the new Battlestar Galactica. He's at the helm. Apparently, he was a big fan of the 2004 reboot. So who in here has seen Battlestar Galactica? Raise your hands for the
listeners?
audio medium. Everybody.
We did like a few episodes together, and that was it.
So it starts with like 2 short movies or whatever, and then you're into the actual like series. And I think we watched the mini movies. Robin watched them anyway.
Yeah.
I've seen the whole 2004 series or whatever year it was, and then like a couple of the 1970s version.
Yeah.
Just to get a taste. And you're like, I can't get into the aesthetic.
No.
This is very cheesy production, you know?
Yeah. Well, and even the beginning, I think, of the 2004 reboot is just much more enticing. The story that they introduce, with the way they introduce the story, and then
I think it makes a lot of sense now with like Alexa and all this stuff, you know?
everyone's a Cylon. Alexa's a Cylon. All the Downton Abbey stars are Cylons. The Queen of England. Ooh. Are you familiar with Battlestar Galactica at all?
Not really. No.
Okay.
Not even
Haven't
familiar with
seen-
it?
Well, I know that it's a thing.
All right.
Probably similar to like Royce's relationship with Downton Abbey, I would say. Like I know it exists.
that people watch it. I love when you give reviews of other stuff and you're like, I'm not into this, but people like it.
Yeah.
People seem to like it.
People seem to
Yeah.
like this. But I haven't seen a single episode or mini movie or any of the reboots. So maybe this was the one.
Maybe. They did some spin-offs in the past that didn't really pan out. I can't remember if they were well received or not, but I remember watching them and not really being that. Like Caprica was a...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole other show.
Right. I think it was a prequel, right? It was about...
That was beforehand, I think.
Yes, that is what
Yeah.
prequel. That's it. We need more coffee in here. Yeah.
Is there a
No, there's no real question. Are
attached
we
to this?
excited? Like, not.
I'm definitely excited, dude. I love
It's
that
great,
other series.
but now it's another streaming service that we're gonna have to subscribe to.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think NBC's streaming service. I don't think Battlestar Galactica is enough to get me into NBC's streaming service.
That's a pretty big play, though, for like people that were hardcore about that series.
Yeah.
Because just like Star Wars, like if you want Star Wars, you have to get Disney Plus, you know?
Yeah, but there's so many, like we've talked about. There's so much on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's just worth it,
And then
We'll see how the reviews are.
Is the way it's going to work is then that like NBC pulls all of their shows off of like Netflix and Hulu.
Probably.
So
Yeah.
people who are into other NBC shows.
Which are what?
There's definitely a lot of shows moving around. I meant to mention this. We're moving The Office to here
Yeah.
and this to that, and like hundreds of millions of dollars for like episodes or whatever series.
Yeah, Netflix is just going to have to keep pumping out original content.
Dude, it's going to be like the Cola Wars, but it's not going to be about soda. It'll be about
Maybe it'll be about soda.
streaming services.
Who knows? Streaming.
The streaming
Soda.
wars.
We have a soda stream. I loved Battlestar Galactica.
It's a fun universe.
The reboot. Was it season 3 that was not that great where they're on the planet. They like
they're on that
settle
crummy
in
planet.
And
Yeah.
Edward James Olmos' son gets fat because he's
that's
not
an
doing
awkward
anything.
season.
And-
Yeah.
yeah. Also, we just watched a movie with Edward James Olmos in it. He plays a homeless person that dies next to a river. The movie is about a dog that gets lost and finds her way back home and befriends a mountain lion.
It was truly a terrible movie.
Yes, really terrible. Anyway, so it's a shame to see him fall that far, but
Dude, if anyone hasn't seen Battlestar, though, at least YouTube the scene where he's giving the speech about looking for Earth.
oh yeah.
If you're not familiar with it, the series is...
Guess we should have explained the
Yeah.
premise of the show.
We'll just cut this in.
But towards the beginning.
So
What is
there's-
Battlestar Galactica even about, Joey?
Great. That's the question for the group.
So it's the ship they're escaping on, right? The Battlestar Galactica is an old ship, but it's like crummy technology, so it can like get away from the AI, right? They don't get like
Yeah, it's
hacked.
like an analog ship.
The entire civilization gets hacked by evil robots, the Cylons, and then they're going to run away from the Cylons.
Because the Cylons have destroyed
Everything.
the planets, but maybe they didn't destroy. I can't really remember
like
if
nuke
they
'em or
actually
whatever.
destroyed the planet or not. Because there's scenes where there's still
Well, they're like-
Cylons on the planet.
They're like uninhabitable though, or whatever. They're like
right.
nuclear
But then
waste zones.
people are like, maybe I bet it's still habitable. Because then
Yeah.
don't they go? Anyway, continue with your description of the show.
A group of humans are escaping in the Battlestar Galactica and several other like rebel ships. And there's a great scene where Edward James Olmos, is that his name?
Edward
And
James Olmos. Yeah.
So he's the commander or whatever of the ship, and everyone's like, "What are we gonna do?" Like humanity is just like obliterated, and he's like pumping everybody up, like all hope is lost. You're living on a spaceship now, and he's like, "I have our most guarded secret." You gotta look it up on YouTube. I'm not gonna do it justice. And he's like, "Earth," points up into the air, and everyone's like, "Yeah!" Earth is like a legend, you
Yeah.
know, and that's gonna be their like safe haven.
Yeah, to be clear, they're
Go
not
to Earth.
fleeing Earth. The Earth is this legendary home world, humanity home world that no one knows where it is, apparently except Edward James Olmos, and he's trying to get them there because it's like maybe a safe haven. And the robots look like people, like there's doppelgangers. So the entire series is like, well, is this person a Cylon, or is this person a Cylon, or is everyone a Cylon?
There's a lot of good stuff in there. But if you're not gonna watch the whole series, watch that scene that I just described.
Yeah, pull up the clip. And what else? I was going to say something else about it. Oh, I was going to say female president.
Yeah.
So
Before
there's
its
that
time.
Very progressive TV show in 2004. I actually don't know if the 78 version had anything like that. Anyway,
On to the next thing.
perfect.
You're welcome.
Okay. So next on the list is, we talked about it last week. We said we'd pick back up on it this week after we watched it. So let's break down in excruciating detail every single moment of the battle at Big Rock.
I take it you liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. It's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and a half.
That's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Exactly what we said last week. It should have just been the end credit scene to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, it's a bit more detached time-wise than I thought it was going to be,
Right.
actually, because it opens up with you're hearing all the news reports, right? Which is something that I love from like the horror genre. There's like an apocalypse of some sort, and the movie opens with you just hearing like news reports of everything, which I really dig. We get into it that way, whereas I thought it might have just been like sort of directly after she lets the dinosaurs loose at the end of Fallen Kingdom. I guess we can describe it up top, unlike I did with Battlestar Galactica, right? So the premise is that it takes place a little while after the end of Fallen Kingdom, and there's this family camping. Their camping trip gets interrupted by dinosaurs.
That's a nice way to
Accurate.
put it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the end. So with supporting characters such as Torosaurus, were those Torosauruses? I'm a pretty big dinosaur nerd. Anyway, some kind of ceratopsian dinosaurs, mom, dad, baby. And then an Allosaurus comes in and tries to stir things up, eat the baby, you know? The CG. And then so the dinosaurs get away, but then there's a human baby, and the human baby starts to cry, and the Allosaurus goes after the human baby, and it's a pretty good series of a dinosaur ripping open a camper. And then a little girl shoots it in the eye with a crossbow. I yada, yada, yada it a bit there. But man, when she's standing up with that crossbow in her hand, I was like, this is better than the movie was.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And because it was concise, you know? There's no time to dilly-dally.
Yeah.
This is the story. This is how it happens. And that poor dinosaur is now walking around the woods with an arrow in its eye. Ugh.
I'd like to see that Allosaurus pop up in the next
Just in the
movie.
background?
Yeah. Just be like, that's the one from... Yeah.
From that short.
Was there no, we're going to get to Fallen Kingdom 2 or Jurassic World 3, and we're going to be like, was there a thing in between these two? We're going to forget about it. But anyway, how'd you guys like it? What did you think?
8 minutes long was perfect. Just little thing, little teaser.
Yeah.
I think it was better than a trailer. And I think it was, or you know what I mean? If they're trying to promote Jurassic World 3 or
Good
whatever.
promotional content.
Super cool way to promote your movie, to just release a scene from it. Like, trailer's a bunch of out of context scenes. It's like BS. It's not real, you know? Could totally infer something else. Rogue One. But it was great, and like better than the other two Jurassic Worlds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just because it was so no BS. Anyway, somebody else on the panel is shaking their head.
We were raising hands and shaking heads this episode.
I did not like it. I thought if it was, like you said, like an end credit scene, that would have been awesome, and I would have really loved it. And I would have been like, oh, cool. They gave you like a little sneak peek of like how the world is now, like, you know, with all the dinosaurs everywhere. But as like a standalone thing, I didn't really think it was exciting enough. And I thought it was a little pandering, like, oh, look, there's 4 dinosaurs and the with the crossbow.
Yeah.
And
All right.
I wasn't-
So like a little too much sort of spotlight for what it was, is what you're saying.
yeah, if it was an end credit scene, I think it would have been perfect, or even like a scene in if that's how like the next movie started, I think it would be perfect. But as just like a standalone thing, it wasn't really cool enough, in my opinion. It didn't really excite me enough. There was a lot of things where I was like, oh, there's arrows. Oh, that's the little girl with the crossbow. Like, it was a little too predictable.
Yeah. I loved that scene. But okay, I understand. Yeah, it's like you can have sort of these extra bits, but you put this much spotlight on it, and it's made by the director of the movies, and it's just kind of like too much spotlight for what it is.
It would be
Yeah.
a great first scene, though.
Yeah.
If,
If
the-
it-
if
yeah.
that just cold opened into that, and then it was like Jurassic World.
Yeah, if that was the beginning of the next movie or the end credit for the last one, it would have been perfect. And I would have loved it.
Yeah.
But just on its own, it wasn't enough of a thing. It felt a little too pandering. Like, you guys want dinosaurs? There's 4 dinosaurs.
I feel you looking at me, and yes, it's exactly what I want.
4 dinosaurs.
There weren't
what
enough dinosaurs.
What about you, Lorelai?
I kind of liked the whole premise, which is that there are dinosaurs loose in the world and people are still going camping.
Yeah.
They
Why
could've
are
stayed
you
away.
doing
Thing, why would you be going camping?
So, and like the news
Build a
stories.
fence.
I know the news stories.
Well, no, they said that
are
they were like, they don't come up this close or
Yeah,
whatever.
or they're like
One
not
line
this
is
far
out.
north or whatever or something. And
Climate
They
change,
migrate
man.
south
Yeah.
in the...
I know. It's like kind of ridiculous that, I mean, I feel like in the real world, if there were dinosaurs loose, it'd be like everybody stay in your home and never leave. And
Yeah,
it's
that'd be a
like all those
crisis.
news stories are like people out like in the world getting attacked by dinosaurs because no one has thought to like not go outside. So I just thought it was kind of funny. It's like an alternate reality where people are not afraid of dinosaurs and then getting eaten by them all the time.
Yeah, well,
Maybe that becomes
the
the norm.
society's
Yeah.
You just have
desensitized
to-
because you have these theme parks and
Yeah.
you go to, and it's all sort of controlled until it's not. And
Yeah.
that's sort of the point. But like in the Lost World, people vacation to this island, and the little girl gets eaten by the little dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just sort of the norm, and everyone's desensitized because it's become a thing. Since John Hammond tried to open up the first one, people are just like, well, dinosaurs exist. Maybe that's what Ian Malcolm is trying to say in Fallen Kingdom. Boy, talk about pandering. Jesus.
Yes.
Anyway, so I enjoyed it. Couple things that now I had some point. I should just write stuff down.
Not this
when I
episode.
think of it.
Not this episode. I'm not even
I
going to
had
cut
some
this part
points that I
out.
can't remember. One of my points was we talked about last week. I think you said reportedly like no budget. Apart from there being dinosaurs on like television, you could tell that the CGI was a little.
Maybe that's why it was all at
sort of
night and, like,
lacking.
very
Yeah,
dark.
it's like very dark. You
easier
can't
to
really
render.
see the dinosaurs
Yeah.
that well.
When the Allosaurus is going through it's just sort of very wonky when the Allosaurus is going through the RV, and
I didn't look that closely, but
yeah,
I'm sure that's probably
it doesn't look
true.
great, but it's TV. I don't know. My other point was going to be, if we remember this, when the Matrix movies were coming out, they released the Animatrix, and it was just a series of shorts that sort of alluded to different points of the story, or there was one about the human robot wars that led to the Matrix. And I wouldn't be against them doing something like that with, like, this being the start of them doing something like that with the Jurassic World movies. Some of the Animatrix was animated, and, well, I guess all of it was, but at different level, like different degrees of animation. But if they just sort of made a series of things like that for Jurassic World, like you could have this one, but then maybe like do some animated ones and just have sort of a gap filler, or like different stories from different people.
Sure. Yeah, it could jump around.
Yeah, I think that would be super interesting, and, could just sort of fill in the gaps and might be a little bit more fun than the movies so far. But
I'm down with
yeah,
that. I would
only
rather have
if
like
you're
a
into
weekly
it.
Jurassic Park event.
Yeah, exactly. Who wouldn't? Robin, that too. It's interesting. I haven't looked up any of the I haven't looked up any reviews to see what people are saying about it.
I don't think you can maybe not like it, but come on.
Yeah, it's just
Come on.
sort of dinosaurs. 8 minutes.
On to
Anyway.
the next thing.
All right. So people are going to start thinking that that's just a clip because you say it the same way each time. It's a good transition. So I probably shouldn't have saved this for last because I think I'm going to be the only one to have the most to say about it. But anyway, if you've been keeping up with what's called the Arrowverse, anybody? The Arrowverse? Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, the CW superhero shows, DC's,
Right.
Entourage of superheroes. Every year they have crossover episodes that involve all the shows. And so episode 1 will be Arrow and 2 will be The Flash, but it'll be the same storyline dispersed over several, like a big television event. And so they've done some different comic book storylines, blah, blah, blah. This year, they're doing one of the greatest and probably the pinnacle comic book event, DC's comic book event, Crisis on Infinite Earths. And they've been announcing casting for it, bringing all these different superheroes and people who have played different superheroes into this television event. So, for example, last year's crossover, which introduced this, we had the actor who played Barry Allen in The Flash from the 90s play The Flash from a different universe on the Flash TV show, which was amazing. They also sort of introduced the Smallville universe in that episode. And so they've announced with Crisis on Infinite Earths, this crossover, they've announced that Brandon Routh will be reprising his role as Superman. Maybe not necessarily the Superman he played in the movie, Superman Returns, but another comic book iteration, Kingdom Come Superman. He's older. Kingdom Come's a story from the future. Superman's older, so he'll be playing that. You're going to have the guy from Supergirl playing Superman like he always does. But this week, it was finally announced that the most exciting piece of news is, are you ready?
We'll reveal it after these commercial messages.
Tom Welling is coming back as TV's Smallville's Superman. Everyone react.
Standing ovation.
What an amazing. So they tricked me into thinking this wasn't going to happen because everyone from Smallville was like, no, we're not going to do that. But Tom Welling and Erica Durance, who played Lois Lane, who's the greatest cast Lois Lane that's ever been, they're both coming back to be part of this crossover. So regardless of the fact that we're going to get 3 or more on-screen Superman personalities, Tom Welling. So I grew up with grew up with Smallville, big part of my life for 10 years. Loved that show. You just got to get into it a little bit before it gets good. The Superman prequel, right? It goes through
young Superman.
It goes through Clark Kent's life growing up on the Kent farm and coming into his powers from a freshman in high school to Daily Planet mild-mannered reporter. And the early episodes focus on him learning about his origin, coming into his powers, learning how to control his powers, and then the later episodes he becomes more of a hero, and we
They
meet
cast it
Lois Lane.
perfectly.
It's just a perfectly cast show overall. The Kents are perfect. Tom Welling's a perfect Clark Kent Superman. Erica Durant is the perfect Lois Lane. Michael Rosenbaum is the perfect Lex Luthor. Everyone cast on that show. I can't remember the guy's name who played Green Arrow, but he was perfect. Everyone on that show is amazingly cast. Chloe Sullivan is in a cult now, but
I was hoping you'd bring that up.
yeah,
Your
I'd
other
say
favorite
she's
thing to
actually
talk
behind
about.
bars, but
Cults.
yeah.
Cults. Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, what are you gonna do? It's a perfectly cast show. I really love the show. It's very near and dear to my heart, and it's the most exciting piece of news ever to happen to anyone ever. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure you and I binged the entire series through our college career.
we sure did, and
You
it
were
was
like, you have to
perfect.
watch all these.
Yep. And it was perfect because it ended while we were still at the
on
series
TV.
finale ended while we were still in college. So
Yeah.
we got to catch up and then watch that, and it was I
Yeah,
really
this-
like that
it's a fun
series
ride.
finale. I really, really do.
I also grew up with that show that was like, we watched it as a family, and it was the first time it was on at like 8 p.m. And so my dad was like, okay, we're going to watch it, but you have to go to bed right when it's over. So it was like a big deal for us. And I also watched, all of it. It was so great. So I'm also excited.
Sweet.
I'm not quite caught up on The Flash yet, or the modern Arrowverse.
Yeah, so what we have to do is catch up on The Flash, and I think some of Arrow, maybe not. Arrow goes up and down for me, but also we'll just have to read Kingdom Come. How do you feel about that?
Okay.
Did you watch Smallville growing up, Robin?
Yeah, I don't think I ever finished it. I think it was in there were 10 seasons.
Yeah.
I think I was probably like season 8 or season 9 and just stopped watching it for some reason. But I watched the first 8 or 9 seasons.
I think season 8 is my favorite season. Season 8 is the Doomsday season with Davis. Was his name Davis? The guy who plays an EMT, but he's got a little Doomsday in him.
Right.
Yeah.
I loved that season so much.
Was that Star Killer?
Yes. Yep. That was Star Killer. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a big part of our college in those two respects.
That guy's got a lot of good nerd cred on his
he
IMDb.
sure does. Yep. Oh, I loved season 8. All right. What about you? We know you watched it. Did you like it?
Yeah, I like it. Tom Welling's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That dude, great Superman, super hot. Bring him back with all the other Lois Lane, whatever, Brandon Roth, whatever his name is.
Superman, he played Superman in Superman Returns, the terrible 2005 or 2006 Superman movie.
Yeah, this sounds like an awesome spectacle get together.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Like I said, Tom Welling and I think Michael Rosenbaum were both asked about it and said that it wasn't going to happen. So
I thought
they
that
really,
article said Lois Lane only, and I was like, why would you have Lois Lane and not?
No, I think both were announced this week, which is amazing. The deal is, I'm glad you got to season 8. Robin, but you really anyone out there listening who's interested, you have to get past season 4. From my recollection, it stops becoming villainy of the week after season 4.
When does he discover the caves?
That's season 2.
Because they introduce that, but they don't really dive deep or whatever.
They do a deep dive into the cave stuff. The caves are a part of it until almost the very end, pretty much. The caves are still a part of it in season 5 or 6.
Right. I need season 1 in 5 minutes.
I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah.
Or we could talk about it right here, right now. Season 4, there's another meteor shower. Okay, so
We're gonna get into it.
Krypton blows up. Superman in the Smallville TV show, Superman crash lands in Smallville in 1989. So there's a meteor shower in 1989. It brings Superman's ship. It also brings all the kryptonite. So from seasons 1 to 4, it's kryptonite giving humans powers and them being bad guys.
Right.
And so he's fighting them every week or whatever, with some exceptions.
That's
and
a
then
very
season
comic-y book
4,
thing to happen.
Yeah, exactly. See, and he's discovering different kryptonites along the way. Red K makes him evil.
Oh,
blah,
no.
blah,
Yeah,
blah.
that's very Spider-Man 3, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 4, there's a second meteor shower, and it brings some new villains. General Zod becomes a big thing, and then we start to get into Kryptonian villains, the Phantom Zone, Doomsday. General Zod is season 9. It's the big bad of the season 9. And then Darkseid is the big bad of season 10. And yeah, I don't know why I was just giving a breakdown of it, other than I love that show so much. I'm
good.
so excited for Tom Welling to come back. Also, there's a great episode written by Jeff Johns. If anyone just wants to get a feel of how good the show is, go watch the episode called Justice, I think, by Jeff Johns. It's in season 9, maybe. But it is a Justice League episode. Eventually it becomes a team show because the Arrow's on it Green Arrow's on it every week. You have Superman and Green Arrow and the Flash, and Hawkman's a big part of it for a long time, and you just get the Justice League. Dr. Fate. It's such a great show. They sort of touch on a legacy. You could see a painting in the show that has the past Justice League members, and it's a really great episode by Jeff Johns, who is one of the greatest comic book creators out there. So, one of Lorelai's old roommates
is his
cousin, and he told me like
the day before
he was
out,
leaving
and Joey was
for
like,
across
"How
the
could you
country.
keep this from me?"
It's like, I have some books I could have sent you. Just get the guy like at the next family event, have him sign my books. Yeah, I'm very excited. Who else is excited? Show of hands. Oh, everyone raise their hands, everybody. Would you tune into this based on my level of excitement at this point?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Crisis on Infinite Earths is I don't want to get too much into the comic bookiness of it, I guess, but it's a very multiverse heavy episodes. Obviously, there's Supermen coming from different versions of reality, and they all have to bring together a giant Justice League team to stop this threat.
Superman's 30th birthday party.
Exactly. So yeah, good. Let's all tune in. Very excited. December, by the way.
That's like sooner.
It's
Most
much
of the things you
sooner
talk
than all
about
of
is
the
like,
other things I talk about.
in 3 years, we'll be able to watch this show.
She-Hulk comes out in 2022. How do you feel about it now?
When does Battlestar come out?
Oh, God.
2027. I don't know.
So Peacock launches in April of 2020. What I'm reading right now, I think, is suggesting that Battlestar Galactica will either drop then or soon after. It's unclear, I guess, to me, if they have filmed this or if any production is underway with this Battlestar Galactica reboot. Okay, so we talked a lot about Smallville. I've been talking a lot about Smallville since I found out this news, and I probably will continue to talk a lot about Smallville. And it got me thinking, like, I love nostalgia, and all of these things have influenced my history, and I just love them so much, and I hold them near and dear. And last week we were talking about the 90s cartoons, like the X-Men cartoon, which I love and could go back to, and the Spider-Man cartoon, which has, I don't think I said it last week, but the best Venom interpretation on screen is obviously from the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. The Superman cartoon was fine. This is the thing. The biggest thing about the 90s Superman cartoon is that, like, in one episode he'd be able to lift a building, and the next episode he'd have trouble like lifting a car. The Justice League animated series was really good, and of course, Batman the animated series is probably just the pinnacle of 90s cartoons. And they're all great, and they've all influenced what I love and what I continue to love and what I continue to talk about on this podcast and outside of this room. So it got me thinking about the question, what do we all have that's like that? What's the stuff that we either love nostalgia-wise from our childhood, or something that we can point to and be like, yeah, that really influenced what I like today? Show of hands, who wants to start? No one's raising their hands, folks.
Does it have to be TV? Well, I guess.
No,
I'll
it
start.
can be anything.
I'll start.
You could pick books. Is it books? Are you going to say books?
Just books. Books in general. I definitely also have like certain TV shows that are really nostalgic for me and that I rewatch every once in a while just as like a comfort sort of thing. So like Gilmore Girls is an example of a show that I rewatch every few years that just like makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. But also books.
Is that really what you were going to go with, Gilmore Girls?
Yeah.
Okay. The correct answer was cartoons. I'm sorry. Next contestant. Just kidding. That's
cartoons.
never?
No. I mean, like maybe some SpongeBob.
Wow.
We
what a
didn't have-
revelation.
We didn't have cable TV.
So you didn't just
Feel
like
you.
color on some papers and flip them? No. It counts.
Nope.
Robin.
If I were going with TV, I would go with Friends, which I know not everyone here likes. Royce, also
Seinfeld.
Joey. No. Because I remember
We're going to do an episode, I think.
I remember watching like the pilot with my mom in like 1994. So that's like a super nostalgic thing. And anytime, like, you know, a couple years ago when I did have cable, anytime it was on, it was one of those things where I was like, I am going to stop what I'm doing and put this on and I'm going to sit down and watch it. And that's one of those things where anytime anyone can make a reference, like I've seen it so many times that same thing as like Gilmore Girls, like it's a comfort thing. So I like watching it. And it reminds me of being a little kid and watching TV with my mom.
Nice.
Is it on to me?
Yeah.
They're on to me.
So you think Star Wars would be an obvious one? Like you went comic book, you know?
Yeah.
Simpsons.
Yeah, man.
1000%. When we catch an episode now, it's like, that's my life. You can directly see where I have some sort of mannerism or whatever. It's just pulled right from
Robin
The
is
Simpsons.
nodding.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, or just like my entire family, because we all watched it. My dad would tape them and rewatch it a billion times. So raised wholeheartedly on a healthy diet of Simpsons, and not into like the new ones as much. But when you see those old ones, you're like,
Yeah, man.
Well, it's also funny to watch those with you because almost everything every character does, I'm like, oh yeah, that's where you get that from, huh? That's why you do that thing. Not even like quotes, just like you said, like mannerisms and stuff, or just like weird, quirky things. And
yeah,
you're
no,
like,
definitely
so you're the
overdose.
Yeah, like
Simpsons.
comic book guy.
Yeah.
That's crazy with a TV show, especially a cartoon. You watch so much of it that you're like emulating
You are the
cartoon
Simpsons.
characters. Yeah, it's crazy. I love watching it as an adult though, and being like, I saw this as a kid and you didn't get like a certain percentage of the jokes, and then you see it in a different light now or whatever, or you understand some reference to something else, or you relate more to Homer. Then you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love
because I
it.
drink a lot of beer now. A lot more beer than I drank then.
Hook it to my vein. That's Barney though.
Yeah.
Still, anyway.
Yeah, man. Sunday nights, right?
Dude,
Sunday
yes.
nights.
No, thank you for saying that because I never imagined a time in my life where I wouldn't see The Simpsons on a Sunday night. I was like, that's what Sunday nights are for.
TGIF was a thing. I'm going to give an honorable mention because you reminded me with The Simpsons. Dinosaurs.
Oh, that was such a good show.
Yeah, that was just, as a kid who just loved the shit out of dinosaurs to now as an adult who loves the shit out of dinosaurs. That show was so good.
Is that the I'm the baby, God
Yeah,
love
it's
me?
the Jim Henson. Yeah, yep. So good. All right, that's the end of the show.
Thanks for listening this far.
Yeah, please, if anyone is out there listening that isn't us, thank you for listening. And tell a friend, you know, or an enemy. Tell anyone. Shout it from the roof if you want to get in touch with us. We are at krypton2alderaan@gmail.com. Twitter at KryptonAlderaan, ALDERAAN.
Do we need a jingle to spell it? 2 A's in Alderaan.
ALDERAAN. I'm been Joey.
I've been Royce.
I've been Robin.
I've been Lorelai.
And we've been Krypton to Alderaan.
AAN.